Another thing you could say is that players don't seem to know what it is they're supposed to be doing at certain times.
So after seeing that, that just solidified my claim. What's up, guys, and welcome back to Blue Bloods Football. I'm sure you're all doing well, especially after our recent win. But that's a bit of a catch-22, and I'll get into that during this video. But first off, I just want to say that a recent video came out on a mate's channel regarding football tutorials. I'm sure you know him, he was on his channel a few episodes ago or so, and he put out an interesting video that we did together. So I'll leave the link either in the description box or I'll leave it somewhere up here, so you guys can go check it out. So please do that, like and subscribe to his channel as well. I'll be very appreciative of that. So let's get into the post-match analysis for Leeds and Chelsea, or Chelsea and Leeds, since we're playing at Stamford Bridge, and 1-0 to Chelsea. So great that we got the win, but I'll be very honest with you guys. All I ever do is be honest on this channel and share my opinion. Personally, I wanted us to lose. In short, I wanted us to lose because I'm sure a lot of you knew how important this match was in terms of giving Graham Potter a chance and deciding whether, or the board deciding whether or not they were going to sack him or keep him. And the three matches, like I mentioned previously, were quite important. The Tottenham one, the Leeds one, and the Dortmund one still coming up. And if he had lost this one, I remember Fabrizio stating, or I saw on another channel that Fabrizio said that the Leeds game was essentially like a final, and that the board are watching him quite closely because a lot of them are divided on whether or not they want him here. What I know is seems like at least half the board members kind of want him gone, including Vival. And Bowley's definitely the one person sticking up for him and who wants him in. Personally, I think that's obviously because Potter's way more of a yes man than any of the other coaches they suggested, as well as Tuchel. And he actually listened to Bowley's suggestions on what to do for the team and stuff like that. Because I've been hearing reports that apparently there was a bit of turmoil between Bowley and Tuchel, in that Bowley had certain plans for the team in terms of formations and who to start or whatever, and I'm sure Tuchel obviously told them off, which makes sense in my mind because owner, coach, stay out of my business, simple as that. But that obviously didn't sit well with Bowley, which didn't put Tuchel in his good graces. And I'm thinking Potter just seems like the kind of guy who'd be like, oh yeah, sure, I'll listen to your suggestions. Just like previously before when I said that Aubameyang wasn't selected for the Southampton game. He wasn't even on the bench, I think, that one we lost. And apparently that was a decision taken upon by the board and Potter, which doesn't make sense to me. I don't know why the board is influencing team management decisions. But anyway, I'm just going to go straight into the post-match analysis and speak about where we're going from here. So during that game, obviously we started off with a 3-4-3, if I'm not mistaken. I'm gonna see if I remember the formation at the top of my head. Kepa Arrizabalaga in goals, Fofana on the right, or back threes, Fofana on the right, Koulibaly in the middle. My days, who was on the left? I actually do not remember, but the four in the center was Enzo Fernandez and Kovacic. Right wing back was Ruben Loftus-Cheek, left wing back Chilwell. Front three consisted of Havertz through the middle, on the left Sterling, on the right João Felix. But it was an interesting game because I looked at the formation and we had a lot of players injured prior to this game, and I was like, it's just increasing our chances for a loss. But you know, football, guys, stuff is never predictable. I mean, look at United this weekend. But we'll get to that in another video. And looking at the match notes that I have, it was actually interesting to see how things went. Like I said, we got the goal. During the game, it seemed like Havertz missed a lot of opportunities, but no surprises there, to be honest. Like at this point, it's like, we're starting Havertz again. We're going to get the same thing. The guy's not really going to surprise me. Fofana was quite aggressive throughout the game. He seemed quite energetic defensively and obviously going forward with that goal. By the way, that goal is quite magnificent, but I'll get to that in a bit. Koulibaly actually played quite a good game. I found it quite interesting that he got started in the first place. When I saw him there in the starting 11, I was like, oh my days, calamities again in this lineup. But he was actually not as impetuous as I normally accuse him of being. And it's funny how he's getting started quite often now all of a sudden, since he came out, even slightly before when he came out and mentioned how he's giving Potter his backing and his support and that there are no issues in training, which I think is complete cap. but you know, he played quite well, and he's probably definitely going to start the Dortmund game, seeing as Thiago Silva's not there and Badiashile isn't eligible to play for that game. So yeah, he played a decent game, and we'll see what happens in the future. Felix missed a couple of good opportunities, especially that one where he hit the crossbar with the cutback from Sterling. Yeah, this was not the first time we've seen Felix miss chances, so he needs to work on that. So I think 2 games is too harsh to judge him on that. Plus there's a bunch of other things that need to be fixed in his team as well, so he's not completely at fault. But yeah, it would be nice to see him put some of these away occasionally, and if there's anyone I'd back to score, it would be him. So I'd like the opportunities to fall to him, but if he keeps missing them, then it's like, who else? Enzo was quite good, very good. He broke that record. Midfield pivot was quite decent, the Kovacic and Enzo. I feel like the midfield wasn't really challenged that much by Leeds, to be honest. Leeds was quite flat during the majority of the game, except for the second half where they started pressing us a lot more, but they still couldn't find a cutting edge to finish. Like, it was crazy. Towards the end of that game, even Willier coming in for a header, like, jeepers, these guys were desperate. They needed to win that game, so yeah. And Fofana, let's talk about his goal. It's actually really good. Fofana is a very good aerial threat. I noticed that when he was at Leicester City, so I was happy to hear he was coming to Chelsea. I mean, price tag was steep, but hey, it's not my money. But yeah, it's nice to have a defender who can score those kind of goals again, especially since the days of like Cahill and John Terry. So that's always a positive in my books. Like I said, it was interesting to see how enthusiastic we were to score during this game, you know, in comparison to the other 16 games we played. So yeah, it's funny, you know, Potter's job's on the line in this one, and they decided to come out and play. But even though like we didn't score from open play, yeah, sure, goal's a goal, but it's like the same problems still reflected in this team, guys. So to be honest, I'm not that happy about this win. It's like, cool, I guess the fans are a bit less depressed now, and that's always a good thing. And also, we can also make fun of United's loss since we won. Sometimes you can't really point a finger when you've lost, kind of like Tottenham and United this weekend. But yeah, great leap from him, head and shoulders above other defenders and players there. Great timing on the jump. People forget how important it is to time your header. A lot of people can jump high, but not a lot of people have the ability to time their jump and jump really high at the same time. So good on him for that. On substitutions, to be honest, during this game at around 58 minutes or so, Zakaria and Gallagher came in for Felix and Sterling. You know, arguably our best attackers in that team, going off for CDM and whatever Gallagher is. Guy's just the energetic bunny running around, but kind of shows Potter's tactical abilities. I don't know, guys, you can hear how tired I am in my voice. This guy, every time I see him, I'm not excited to watch this anymore. I'm just not. I don't know what this guy's gonna do. I mean, I pray that if we keep this guy throughout the season and then he's going to stay on and have a preseason, I just hope this whole trust the process nonsense that we're trying to compare with Arteta is going to be worth it, like, personally. So yeah, like I said, odd substitutions, and then we're flat in the second half. Like I said, Leeds was pressing us quite hard, and we could have conceded a couple there, but like I said, they lack cutting edge. But enough of the post-match analysis. Like I said, I wasn't keen on this game. My biggest concern is that Potter's job is saved by Fofana. And honestly, because this game was that game essentially where if Potter had lost, we would have considered getting a new coach in for the Dortmund game coming up this week. And I would have, which is a very important game obviously, because it's our only chance of basically getting top 4 if we progress throughout the Champions League, which is a lot more probable than us making top 4 at this point. I mean, sure, some teams are buckling, but we're going to have to put on a winning run and then hope that Spurs and United continue to let go of their points. But United, despite their loss this weekend, are quite solid. And Spurs I bank on not making top 4, to be honest. But yeah, Spurs are lacking and Newcastle are lacking, so that may give someone a bit of a chance, but it looks like Liverpool's going to take that chance. So yeah, guys, top 4 dead for us in the league. I accepted that a while ago, especially seeing as Potter's going to stay. Burnley seems happy about the fact that we got a result, according to him, you know, his words. And yeah, guys, like, honestly, these are comparisons. I want to put up something just for people who are still divided on Potter in or out, support the process, whatever. That game was still poor that we won. 1-0, sure. but there were still inefficiencies in this team that we could clearly see. And I want to show this picture of, you know, Arteta's first, was it 25 or 28 games or so compared to Potter's, and you tell me if you still support this process, because you can clearly see that Potter's significantly worse in the same amount of games. There's nothing to compare about these two processes, and at the same time, like I said, even if we romp the league next season, it's still not worth it for me. How do we take this many L's and potentially not make any European football competitions next season? I guess, yeah, I'm just so drained. I'm so drained every time I see Potter's face, I even have to say his name. I'm just like, it's just so putting ourselves through pointless pain. Like, there's so many good candidates out there for managers. Anyone would be an improvement, like I said previously, but we still choose to stick with this ridiculousness, and everyone around us is getting better. So it's like, yeah, you know, at the end of the day, I just feel like Potter's time has been up for the longest time, and us winning this game didn't help. It helped him, I guess, for fun. It kept him in the job a bit longer. I mean, let me not judge. Let's see what happens in the Dortmund game, but I have zero hope for it, guys. Like I said, I'm kind of bleak about it. Like, looking at Potter, Tifo Football put out an analysis, because I'm not just talking nonsense, guys. I'm telling you from what I see. And from what I see, Potter has made our team worse ever since he came in after Tuchel. There's no process, there's no incremental improvement in any department. We are not slightly passing fast or whatever. For example, if I compare the time Tuchel came in when Lampard left, sure, I understand that he didn't flip the system on its head immediately, but you could see what he wanted to do from his first games. Like, this is the plan I have for the team, this is what I wanted to do. He had video footage of them. He watched Chelsea before he came to the team so he could plan. Potter, I don't know what kind of coach he is, and the fact that he's come from Brighton obviously shows that he's just not a good coach in terms of big teams. Like, maybe Brighton's your level, no offense to Brighton, but it just doesn't make sense that he doesn't have that minimal thing. It makes sense to me if I was a coach going into another team. I'd look at the way the team plays and be like, okay, my identity is this, I have these ideas, let me try implement them immediately. Sure, we didn't win that first match with Tuchel, but you could see immediately we started trying to move the ball faster. He played different players. Counter pressing was the plan. You could see what he wanted to do. You cannot see anything with Potter. Every single game, it's always something different. He's still tinkering with the team this many games in, and that doesn't make sense to me. It doesn't show that you have big match pedigree, or that you're a big coach, or that you command authority in any way. I'll put up a little clip from Tifo Football Analysis just to show you statistically that this guy has not changed the team in any incremental way.
There's a lack of intensity in the way they play, and the passing is far too slow. And you think, regardless of what system you want to play, you need to put the principles in immediately. Like, for example, when Tuchel took over from Lampard, the numbers improved instantly. The numbers under Potter are much, much worse. So I think you could argue things like expected goals being lower, fewer passes per game, fewer passes in the final third per game, and having more tackles you have left of the ball are things that are relevant to how he plays. But you see it, there's little small things like the passes they'll play from the back. They'll often be short passes that go slow, so the opposition can get back into defensive shape and block them, so there's no space. Another thing you could say is that they don't really press with any intensity, so it's hard to work out where they want to win the ball back. Another thing you could say is that players don't seem to know what it is they're supposed to be doing at certain times.
So after seeing that, that just solidified my claim to show that Potter is just not meant for this team, guys. Like, it just doesn't make sense to me that he's still here. But you know what? I'm probably going to put a video out on possible manager candidates that I think would suit this team, and guys that we would be better off having and are able to provide what this team needs. So I'm going to separate the videos for that. But so far, yeah, enjoy the rest of your days, guys. Let's prep for the Dortmund game. Hope that we can get something from that. I have no hope for that personally, as long as Potter's at the helm. No matter who comes into this team, even if Kante manages to start or whatever, it's flat, guys, it's flat. So yeah, Blue Bloods Football signing out. Like and subscribe.